Let's talk about multi-factor authentication, also called as MFA. Now that we have created users in Active Directory and we know that users will log into Active Directory with their credentials, which is user ID and password. And we know that there are a lot of evil eyes sitting out there on the internet, and we would like to make sure that even if somebody traces or intercepts our traffic and is able to get through the hashes of the password, they should not be able to get into the application. So a single factor of authentication is never sufficient to protect the application and your intellectual property. There should be multiple factors of authentication that a user needs to go through so that the application can identify the right individual has access to the data. Let's understand multi-factor authentication first, and then we will see how multi-factor authentication can be implemented in Azure Active Directory. There are 5 factors of authentication that we have as on today. The first one is something that we know, it's in our memory, and we have been using this factor of authentication from very long time. It's one of the oldest forms of authentication in the IT era. Passwords, PIN codes, your debit card PIN that you remember, you don't share it with anybody, that comes under something that we know. The second factor is something that we have, which is like an RSA token, a soft token, which is equivalent to a one-time password or one-time pads. So the numbers keep ticking on your RSA token. A good example is Google Authenticator. You can download this app from the Play Store or App Store and see how Google Authenticator works. The third factor of authentication is ourselves, something that we are. The measurement of our biometric traits like fingerprints, iris, facial recognition, DNA, all of these come under biometrics. Biometrics is bio plus metrics. Measurement of your biological traits is biometrics. It's something we are. The fourth one is based on your geographical location. You may get authenticated or maybe denied access. It's something where we are. Based on your latitudes and longitudes and your coordinates, based on your IP addresses, you may get authenticated or maybe denied access. The last one is something you do, which is based on your gestures, hand movements, that comes under something that you do. A combination of at least 2 of them is multi-factor authentication. So when you're trying to access your application, you punch in your user ID and also punch in the password. And then you must be presented with a secondary form of authentication, which cannot be the same as a password, which should be like something we have. Maybe you type in a one-time password from your phone or an application. So multi-factor authentication is having at least 2 factors of authentication. And in the next video, we'll see how we can incorporate into Azure Active Directory to protect our intellectual property and the applications.